it's Dustin with TechMD. Today we are going to be fixing an iPhone X back. I'm actually on my way to them. I haven't had a lot of time to do filming and recording, so we're just making this video on the go. Anyways, we are going to use a full housing with the frame and glass with OEM pull, which means it's pulled from original phone. So I look forward to showing you guys how you can do your own front glass repair or your back glass repair for really cheap versus spending a bunch of money getting it fixed somewhere else like Apple or a third party. You could do it yourself. It's not too difficult. There are some things that you got to watch out for, so you got to be careful. Anyways, guys, on to the video. Thank you. It's Dustin with TechMD. A little quick commercial break. We got a product called Liquid Glass that can cover your phone against $400 in damages or even $150 in damages. And it's super cheap and it's good for a whole year with no deductible. I'm going to have a link in the description below describing the whole product and how the whole process works in a separate video. Thanks for watching. Now back to the video. Hey everyone. Okay, so we got this iPhone X and white spec, and we are going to be replacing it with an OEM Apple original pulled screen. I will have a link in the description on how to achieve or acquire one of these, and then we'll also buy back your broken one as well. How you can tell the difference from if it's an XS or an X is it'll have a line right here, right on the actual phone itself. So on the left side there'll be a little line if it's an XS. So we're going to go ahead and swap the whole entire motherboard over into this new casing, and yeah, it's basically how it works. So first thing we're going to do is start off with a pentalobe screwdriver and unscrew the phone. And I designed these repairs and these videos to be nice and slow to teach you how to fix your own devices. We're going to be using a heat gun today, and we're going to get that warm to hot to the touch to lift up the screen without cracking it. If you forget to remove the bottom screws, you will crack your front screen. So make sure you don't forget. Keep your screws all organized very well on a white piece of paper or a pad like this, which all the tools and stuff like that will be linked in the description. Getting these parts will be via email. You'll have to contact us and we'll guide you to the right spot. Okay, now that it's hot to the touch, we're going to take our iseasmo tool and just get in between the glass and frame and slice this open. So all I did was just twist it open to open up the actual screen. Once again, same thing, don't go in too deep, just a little bit. Run your tool very carefully along the side and crack that open there. Okay, now that we have it opened, we're going to take our Y screwdriver here and start removing all the screws for the screen.
If she's at these drop-offs or she struggles with dropping things off or whatever, then have her call or text me and just kind of keep me updated. And then that way, if she's running early, I can text Bob and say, hey, we're running a little early, or if she's running late, then I can
just keep everything organized like I said here. So now that we've removed all those screws here, now we're going to go ahead and remove this bracket. And we're going to take our plastic spudger or fingernail to disconnect everything here. So first things first, battery is going to be disconnected. Okay, and then the screen here. And the screen can be a little trouble, so get something pointy at it if you can. There we go.
Hey, so she said that
now this is glued on, so be very careful with removing it and separating it from the other cables. Just get your fingers nice and close to separate that glue. If your phone is still or if your phone's warm by now, then you can warm it up on the back a little bit to heat that up. But they glue that down to make sure that you rip that cable when removing this out. If you rip this cable, you'll lose Face ID, so don't do that. Set your screen aside and let's start disconnecting all these cables here. Okay, now that we have all the cables disconnected, we can remove the camera. Phillips here and here to get started. Make sure you bring your magnetizer with you, just in case your tool demagnetizes. Mine loves to. These screwdrivers are the more expensive ones. You don't need it unless you're a professional. But I recommend QIANLI Quinlan. His phone's going to be famous. It's on YouTube. I finally found an option for customers to do their own back glass repair. If you're savvy. Ugh. Yep, your phone's going to be on YouTube. I'll have it up here in about a week or less.
What's all that stuff that you're pulling out?
Everything.
You're going to pull everything out?
Pretty much.
Oh, yeah, because it's the back glass. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, so we have to replace this. Everything goes over here.
What's the color of the new glass?
Well, the same color.
Oh, it's white?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why I couldn't do it, because I had to have the white one.
Oh.
Yep. So we're going to remove the camera here. We're going to leave this piece in because the small parts come with this piece, which is nice. And I'm going to remove here. One right here. One right here. Okay, get your SIM ejector tool and go ahead and remove this part. I don't know where mine is, so I'm just going to use this.
Someone stole my Hydro Flask. I lost it right in the student services, and I was like, do you guys have a blue Hydro Flask with a black lid on it? She's like, oh yeah, someone came and got it.
Okay. And there's a couple cables that we're going to disconnect under here, but first let's remove the battery carefully. If we can. If we can't, then we might have to just warm it up. Just going to grab this little loop here with our tweezers. Pull this out.
My other one, Colin accidentally, I was getting in Colin's car. Colin broke his strap. He blew out the transmission.
So I like to twist this out around my tweezers and then slowly pull it out.
Well, I'm taking this.
So most of the time these don't come with batteries, so you need to remove the battery on this. And so these ones are a lot more trickier to pull out without removing all these pieces out. So I like to just warm up the back and either loosen these up, or I also can use my metal plunger to remove it out. But you also, either way, you have to warm it up. So this is the tool I use. Carefully dig underneath it. Get under this cable first, and then you can dig under. You can't do that until we warm it up a little bit. And we'll see if we can get these pull tabs out. Unlikely though. Without removing all that, and I prefer not to. So we're gonna just get this hot to the touch. Don't go too hot or you will ruin your battery or explode it. You don't want to puncture the battery either. Like I said, most of the time this just falls apart though. Yep. And it did. So there's really no point. I can never really get them without removing everything. So we're just going to stick our plunger straight in without puncturing it. Okay, you gotta watch out for that cable there. If you do destroy your battery or puncture it, you could light on fire, but if you just ruin it or it's going bad, you can just replace it with a new one. In the link in the description, we'll have plenty of battery options for you. Okay, now the motherboard should be almost ready to remove. Actually, we're going to remove this. We're going to carefully pull this up a little bit. Get our plastic spudger, go underneath it, and pull on it while we're pushing it up. There we go. Okay, and then one more here. This whole thing should be able to be carefully moved out. Okay. Now we need to disconnect this connector here. So connector is disconnected. Now the whole motherboard should be able to come out. Okay, board is out. Normally I would put the this in first and then the battery, but we don't have to do that. We're just going to leave this good battery in here and give him a new one. So we're just bending these cables out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and put the camera cables under here. Oh, you know what? This actually goes in after because we got to clip that cable in. Excuse me.
Sorry, we're making too much noise.
Oh, no, you're fine. My editor can edit most of the noise out. Okay, I'm just going to get all these cables clipped in here. One at a time. That was a little bit more trickier. Just be careful not to push too hard. You don't want to bend these cables. We're going to leave the battery disconnected. That'll be the last thing we connect in after the screen. So the motherboard just sits straight where we're going to screw this in. This is my other screwdriver I like using. The TWPD, I do believe. Oh, there it is. Same thing. TWPD. It's also available in the link in the description.
Well, I need to ask my dad first.
So we'll get these cameras in here. And this bracket's a little fun to get in, but it is possible to get in.
Well, I need to ask my dad if I could sell it to you too, because I'm only 12, so.
Get that underneath. This piece, you just have to finagle in there. Doesn't really like to go in.
Do you want to buy it?
There we go. Just gotta wiggle it in a little bit to get it in there. Okay, let's get the screws in. With most iPhones, you lose your water resistance after a year anyways, so there's no point in putting the seal back on, but if you feel obligated, you can always put the seal on if you want. Okay, now we're going to put our cameras underneath. Just to connect them. This is an important part here too. It has to go right in a particular area and it clips under the unit. But it is kind of loosey-goosey, which is fine. Now, the battery doesn't technically have to be glued down, but you can just put a piece of tape under there. So I use just white 3M tape for this particular project, just in case I have to get this battery off. Actually, about half as much. And just remove that piece. That way it can sit down. Okay. Now the screen's ready to be put on. So I just grab this, twist it, and click it in here. Click this in. Make sure this one's clicked in. Just putting a little pressure here. Put the battery on. Battery might not be charged since I'm using the OEM pull battery. Like I said though, if you need to pull out the whole battery like I did on the other one, you would just put like a strip of tape right here. So it's pretty straightforward stuff. Just when putting the battery in, make sure the plug lines in and just clip it in and then set it down. That way you know your alignment is perfect. We're going to go ahead and screw down all the screws here. Make sure this cable is not under there, because if you screw down the screw with the cable there, you're basically going to ruin it. They really want you to ruin that cable when entering the iPhone X. Now the goal for you is to get a really good quality repair that's not refurbished for a really good deal. So if your frame is not badly dented, badly bent, or not like broken, right? This metal frame here. and it's just cracked glass, you can actually send this back to get some money back for your purchase. So be very aware, or be very careful with all these small components. Don't rip or tear any of that, because it's all worth money. Let's put the SIM card back in too. Okay, and then we're just gonna put some bottom screws on the ground. Now, so you may be asking, well, why aren't you just replacing the glass? Well, it requires a special equipment that you cannot do at home without buying, a $2,000 plus laser cutting machine. You could use other equipment, but it is time consuming and you have to remove all those components, and it's really not worth your time. Or you can just buy this at a much better price and just switch out the whole entire thing. So, doing this at home should be a fairly easy job. You probably want some skills at replacing screens, but there's no reason why you couldn't do this if you feel comfortable. I hope that you get from this video a good understanding of how back glass iPhones work, because separating just this is just not possible with at-home tools. But you can buy this for a really good price and send this back and save a ton of money, making this repair a much better option for doing this yourself. Anyways, guys, I really appreciate you watching our video today. If you like it, please like and subscribe. If you've noticed a problem with my technique, please let me know so we can improve upon that technique. I will have some more videos coming shortly on the back glass housing in the future. I plan on recording every single one so you guys get to see different ones. This has been the iPhone X today. More in the future. Thanks, guys.